let's talk about the hybrid vehicle. Let's talk about the benefits
Right.
of the hybrid vehicle, because for me, I've always seen hybrid vehicles as like a real answer to part of this, right? I highly recommend everybody educate yourself about this. Have an understanding about it. Dive deep. Don't just listen to, something that you saw on TikTok, or one, thing that we heard on whatever our channel of news is, right? And depending on which news you watch two different worlds at all times, right? So
Right.
put all that aside for a second, and just look at the technology. Like, actually educate yourself, actually have an understanding about how all this stuff works. So for me, especially years ago, that's what I did. And I started looking at these hybrid vehicles and these hybrid solutions. And I'm like, well, this makes a lot of sense, right? Because I get that aspect. I get the fact that you're driving, you're creating that energy. Some of that wasted energy is then being used to charge up this nice little battery that's sitting here, that it doesn't have to be plugged into the grid, right? And it's actually charging from that energy. And then all of a sudden your car goes, well, wait a second, this is full, right? So let me switch
Mhm.
over and let me drain this energy that we created by using this energy to create this energy. And again, I know I'm totally simplifying this. I'm not the scientist. I'm not the
You're
attorney.
good.
I am the person who is the chief marketing officer of the firm, who
Right.
is, understands things, right? But at the same time, I'm like, well, this just seems to make a lot of sense, because if we have this problem, but it also solves the problem that I tell you, Matt, hey, we're in summertime, right? You know what that means for me. Travel lacrosse season, 3 suns. Okay. Every single weekend, it's where in the world is Sean, right? Where in the state
Right.
is Sean, right? Like, which, so I tell you, Matt, for me, the idea of like planning my route to go from tournament to tournament and running all over the state and doing all this based on where am I going to stop with smelly lacrosse players in the back of my car does not make a lot of sense to me, right? Like that is not something.
Right.
Not saying I couldn't do it, but I don't want to do it. Okay, like, let me just be flat out about it. And I think that's the
Right.
sentiment of a lot of people living in the U.S. Yes, I get
Right.
that it's possible, but quite frankly, I don't want to do that. I already have a demanding life. I don't have time to stop because of that specific use case. But then I'm also thinking about how much gas am I burning when I'm driving all over the place, right? And then
Mhm.
boom, that's where the light bulb of a hybrid, the best of both worlds, comes into my mind and says, well, guess what? When I just want to go gas heavy and I just want to get home because I've been on the field for 10 hours coaching a team in 110-degree weather, and we're all tired and we're all exhausted and we want to get the hell home, I'm just going to go home, Matt. I'm not stopping. I'm not charging. I'm not doing anything, right? I'm just going to drive home. And if most of that drive is on gas, some of that drive's on battery, quite frankly, I don't care. I want to get home. But I also want to get home in a less expensive way because I know how much gas I'm
Mhm.
burning. And I also want to make sure that all that gas I'm using driving around isn't contributing to setting the world on fire. Because as I mentioned, I have 3 sons who need to live in this world for many years beyond me, and their kids and their kids and their kids, right? So all of these things going through my head, and I'm like, well, damn, hybrids make a lot of sense.